The next step is to curate the chaos that we've created. Unlike a painting, which is commonly described as the sum of its additions, a photograph is typically a single flat field image. What we're going to do now is look at each of these individual films and to see how we can combine them to not obscure the image, but to enhance the original embedded photographic image. What I'm looking for now is to see how the individual layers will combine. I don't want to just accept any accidental image that appears. Now here's another example of using these three individual layers and to combine them to form a single image. The goal being to expand the embedded photograph rather than obscure it. So, I like this color combination very much. I'm going to put the yellow primary printer down first, which is usual in the carbon process. Let's see what that looks like in this rough register. I'm mostly looking for color values, because I know everything comes in. I don't know if you can see the image at all. And now when I put the third layer down, if I do use a third layer, hopefully the two faces of the second sight will become more apparent. For this image, which is a much more complicated or confused image, I'm going to try and bring some unity to it with a darker color layer that brings out some very, very pleasing color effects, but still makes the image difficult to see. So I'm going to use, in this case, a single black, and just try overlaying that on the two layers of color and see if that will help in image comprehension. It's really hard to tell any of this stuff until we actually put it down in paper in register, which is what we're going to do next. So now I'm going to look for different effects when I mount different color layers, one on top of the other. The truth is, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'll know it when I see it. Next, we're going to take the individual polycolor layers, transfer them onto paper, one on top of the other, and register as we've decided. So here's the first color, the first layer, and this is accomplished by simply coating the individual layers with gelatin. So this is a 6% gelatin solution that I'm coating onto this polycolor layer. I'll try and lay it down as evenly as possible. Okay, this is an unhardened gelatin. I'm going to just give it a few minutes to set up. This is a sheet of Arches Acrylic watercolor paper. I'm just going to put it in this tray of cold water and let it soak for 1 or 2 minutes while the gelatin coated film has a chance to set up. After the transfer paper has soaked for a minute or two, I'll take the gel-coated Polycolor, slip it underneath the watercolor paper, and combine them using a sponge. And now I want to combine the two like this. This is to remove any air bubbles and to ensure good transfer when they dry. Using a squeegee, I'm just with no pressure, just removing surface water. So I can turn it over. And gently remove the surface water. And once again, use a sponge to combine. This is what's called a star pattern. You start at the center and move out to the edges. After I've sponged it and removed all the surface water, then I lay down a sheet of absorbent paper and a piece of glass, and leave this weight on there for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes has elapsed, I'll remove the weight and the cover paper, and simply hang the print to dry. After the transferred image is dried, it will peel off the paper. Here's an example of one that was done earlier. And here's the peel. After the Polycolor layer has fully transferred onto the sheet of paper, the next step is to put the second layer on top of it. And we do that by first coating with gelatin, as we did before. Now that we've coated it with gelatin, take the original transfer paper with the first layer on it, immerse that back into the water, and let it soak for about 3 to 4 minutes. After the first layer of the Polycolor film has been transferred onto paper, we now have to transfer the second layer, and that's accomplished after the the film has been fully coated with gelatin and is setting up, we do the same thing. Paper is soaked for several minutes. This is inserted underneath the paper. I'll let it just sit there for, 5 or 10 seconds. And then up and out. And down here on the table, where I am now going to try and slide it into position. For this, I'm going to need my glasses. So we want to make this image as coherent as possible. And this is very much like the old time days when they have to make the multiple color layers and register them by hand. I think I'm getting pretty close here. What does it look like up there? Okay, now I'll use my sponge to gently combine just to make sure that they're in the kind of position. And you can see it slid out of the way, so I'm going to push this back now into position there. Line this up visually. And there we go. Okay, I think this was pretty good. I think the two faces are beginning to emerge, so you can see them more clearly. And I'll just gently want to remove the surface water. I'm not squeezing hard at all because this will make it slide. And then just come back one more time. And at this point, the temperature of my hand is probably could make this slip and stick, so you best to not touch it except with the cold water sponge. And I think it's pretty good. All right, now that we've got it registered, we'll do as before. We'll cover it with a sheet of absorbent paper and put a glass weight over it. 10 minutes, it will be done here. Then remove the weight and hang it to dry. So after 10 minutes, we'll remove the glass, dispose of the cover sheet, hang to dry. And now, if you stop by tomorrow morning, it will be dried and we can see what it looks like. Thank you for watching.